Another tough and disappointing night for Manchester United. Flex from United View is alongside me up until 6 o'clock. Flex, we were here, weren't we, this time last week on the back of a couple of victories for Manchester United in the Carabao Cup, also against Burnley, and we thought, wow, have they turned a corner? Is this the moment they can now go on a good run? Of course, since then, a defeat in the Premier League to Crystal Palace, and now that defeat last night to Galatasaray. Does it feel like one step forward and now 2 steps backwards?
Not even 1 step forward. It just feels like steps backwards at the minute. It's really bad at the minute. It feels like Man United are in free fall. It feels like they can't stem the bleed. They can't, put a stop to the damage that's happening during the games. Mistakes, application, mentality, decision making. These are all things that are common scripts for Manchester United fans when you're kind of reviewing a game or working out how you've just been on the end of losing. You're looking at the Champions League group. You've conceded 7 goals in 2 games. Appalling, not good enough. Losing games by a single goal, all through Manchester United's, or mostly through Manchester United's own making by gifting the opposition goals. Of course, the opposition deserve credit, for doing what they're doing against Manchester United right now. But essentially, playing Man United is a soft touch. You'll be under pressure in spells of 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there. You might even be behind. But essentially, right now, if you're playing Manchester United, as Thomas Frank is looking at doing now on the weekend, you're thinking they will always give you a chance. Their game management is way off. The mentality is way off, and Manchester United can't handle the emotional lows of a game. They can't handle the emotional highs of a game. When in those highly charged emotional moments, you've just scored, application and concentration needs to be high. You've just conceded, application and concentration needs to be high. You're going through a difficult moment. Keeper's just had to make a save. Someone's just made a mistake. They just can't seem to navigate through the difficult spells of games, and that's what's costing us.
Let's hear from Gary Neville. I was at the premiere of Beckham last night, the new documentary.
I saw you. Don't hang on a minute. Don't just. I know we're going to hear from Gary in a second.
Yeah.
Do not undersell yourself there, Sam Ellard. You was there right front centre with the GOAT. I saw.
Wow, I was on the red carpet with David Beckham last night. I was doing my
say
thing
what
and
really
stuff.
happened.
Yeah, no. I was. It was the premiere of Beckham last night, which is a new documentary that's coming out on Netflix today. And there was an amazing event in London last night, an amazing premiere. Some big names there. David Beckham was there. Gary Neville was there. James Corden, Jack Whitehall was there.
Sam Ellard was there.
Sam Ellard was there. And I managed to get to mix and mingle with some of the great and the good. And you should watch that, by the way.
I can't wait. As soon as I get back, I'm watching it.
You're going to go watch it,
Absolutely.
yeah? Absolutely. So Gary Neville was there. I spoke to Gary before the Man United game last night, but I thought he was absolutely fantastic on the situation Man United. Let's hear from him. So there we go, Gary Neville there, clearly saying he feels sorry for the manager. Big problems at the club, and that it's a graveyard. Wow, a graveyard for coaches and players. Do you feel the same there as Gary? Do you maybe not blame Erik ten Hag for what's happening? Is he trying to just kind of save the club from the mess that's been created over the last sort of 5-10 years?
I'm 100% with Erik ten Hag. And a lot of what's going on at Manchester United, the utter chaos, the way that it's been run, right from the top, right through to the very bottom, is very difficult for any manager to deal with. So I 100% agree with Gary Neville that there is an element of Ten Hag's got to deal with a lot here. He's got so much to contend with, and he isn't going to get every decision right, or every decision isn't going to seem right at the start. But he still shouldn't be immune to criticism. There are things that the manager...
What's he not getting right, do you think? Is there something in particular as a United fan that's really frustrating him?
I think at the minute, maybe just the in-game management, some of the decisions of the substitutions, the starting lineups in terms of players that aren't playing so well. When do you take them out the firing line? Rashford, Bruno. I asked him in the press conference before the Galatasaray game. I sort of said to him, I said, Erik, with more senior players, what's the best way to get them out of bad form? Is it to let them play through it, or is it to take them out? And he said basically that it's not new to players who are experienced. They need to know how to get themselves out of it. Of course, we've got things to address.
I'd also say as well, perhaps he's not blessed, is he? Like, if he was to drop Rashford, it's not like he's got an informed Jadon Sancho waiting to come on. He hasn't got an informed Anthony ready to go.
Exactly.
He hasn't got that many other options, does he?
And that is an issue as well. And here's the thing, Sam, what I've kind of it's hard when you're emotionally charged as a fan because you want to blame everything and you want to get the answers now, and sometimes you can't always do that. Sometimes there's many answers as to why something's wrong, right? And not just one thing. But what I have worked out is that, in my opinion, my theory is that Erik ten Hag has fought a lot of big battles against big personnel, made some big decisions, right? And I feel like with Rashford playing the way he is now and Bruno playing the way he is now, which isn't very good, I feel like if he makes too big of a drastic decision and tries to go for those players and take them out the firing line now and it backfires, I think he feels he'll lose them. And I think he feels that it's one big battle too far. And what I mean by that is Marcus Rashford's just signed a new deal. He's got credit in the bank. He scored 30 goals last season. This is the first sign of adversity that Marcus Rashford has had with Erik ten Hag. Not in his United career.
Sure.
With Erik ten Hag.
That's true.
Right? So Erik ten Hag is thinking, if I put the young kid Garnacho in and he doesn't perform, which can happen from the start because Garnacho struggled from the start. He's been coming off the bench and doing quite well. And then I asked Marcus to come back in, I might have lost him. I've just made Bruno Fernandes captain. I've put all my hat on him. I've sung he was basically captain last year too. But officially he's captain now. If I take him out of the team now, our two most likely to impact the game, those players are the two most likely to impact the game when they're playing well, which they're not at the minute, I've lost them, and then consequently the ripple effect that will have on the rest of the dressing room, I'm in big trouble. But what I am seeing is I think Ten Hag is stagnating the way that he's trying to get the response from Marcus Rashford. What's happening is he came off against Palace in the 77th minute. So 1-0 down at home. You're not happy there. You probably should have brought off Rashi earlier. Against Galatasaray, brought him off, I think, in the 68th minute, pretty much 10, 11 minutes earlier. So he's getting to that stage where he's starting to show, you need to come out. But he's being very cautious by the way he does that, because I think he's too scared to take on that level of personality, considering all that's gone before. David De Gea, he's made that massive decision, and Andre Onana's come in and is a walking just shell of nerves and being eccentric and making mistakes. He's a walking bag of mistakes at the minute. And his shot stopping and his goalkeeping fundamentals look way off. Any shot that goes near him, I'm nervous. Ten Hag, massive decision to make. You said that you wanted David De Gea to leave, and not only that, you pushed for Andre Onana to be the guy. Your guy from Ajax. You co-signed that. The first sign of adversity within the first 10 games, it's not the first time, but there's been quite a few mistakes that he's made. The first period of bad form for him, you take him out. Does it show that you're undoing your own decision? You're going to bring in BeIN. So these are things that Ten Hag has essentially, he's made his bed and has to lie in it, but it's hurting the team. It's hurting the team, and he has to balance whether he wants to get out of this bad patch with those three players intact so that they can look back at that and say, I remember when Ten Hag had my back for a bad period. Or does he risk upsetting the apple cart, taking out three huge characters, and maybe the players who come in don't change anything? Then you've lost Rashi, then you've lost Bruno, and then you've lost Onana.
But is that you drop Rashford and Bruno for one game, you know, and what are we saying now? You can't drop a player?
Exactly, and that's why I'm saying by him doing that.
But do you think Marcus Rashford though is the type of guy who would, let's say, I know there's an international break, isn't there, after this weekend? Let's just say there wasn't, and Ten Hag goes, look, you played every game this season, you're playing 2-3 games a week, maybe not on the best of form, sit this game on the bench. Do you really think Marcus Rashford, I'm using him as an example, local lad, loves the club more than most, like yourself, I'd be disappointed, Flex,
absolutely, if
Marcus Rashford then goes to Ten Hag. Really?
Yeah.
I'm not playing next week. But do you really think Rashford's that type of character? That
my gut feeling,
he loses him. I don't think it's that straightforward. I'd be really angry.
Not in
if
one
he is.
game. Not absolutely, because he's a professional footballer. If the manager says, I need to do something different for a game, or you need to sit this one out, it's a perfect opportunity for Marcus Rashford to recoup, be chomping at the bit on the sideline to warm up, get on and impact the game, like he did against Wolves when he got fined and he was late. You know, he was out of the team for his own reasons. He accepted it, couldn't wait to get on the pitch, scored the winner. Instant reaction. And that's what needs to happen this time. But with the feeling of what's going on in the squad, if I was guessing, right, my opinion is that I think if you dropped Onana and Bruno, I think their response to that wouldn't be as as strong as maybe Marcus Rashford in this moment.
That's fair. On Onana, it's crazy because everything I saw of him in the last couple of seasons, he looked a top goalkeeper. And you're right, his distribution clearly hasn't been that good. But also, I can't believe how bad his shot stopping's been. Like, it feels like, I don't think I've seen him make a save yet as Man United goalkeeper. No. It's quite incredible, isn't it, how weak he's looked. On Erik Ten Hag, talkSPORT's chief football correspondent Alex Crook sent in a line today saying that his job is not under threat in any way, shape or form.
It's not,
from your understanding or your point of view, I think I remember you saying last week that he is the man, right? That he and Ian Murta have got a really good relationship, really good understanding.
And he's invested a lot into him,
and they've given him a lot of power, haven't they, to bring in his players from Holland. So do you think that even if we get to December time, Christmas time, 2 months away, and United, let's say, is still sort of struggling around mid-table, you think that he's the man and they're going to back this guy and stick with him in the long term? They're going to give him plenty of time?
I think Manchester United will give him time. Of course, results dictate everything that happens, though. You don't get to keep losing consecutive games in a row, week after week after week, and being free fall. That can't happen. But at the same time, I think a lot of Manchester United fans would think that if we sacked Erik Ten Hag, right, knowing Man United probably go to Brighton, say we want De Zerbi, Brighton, thank you very much, 30 million to get him out of something silly like that, and within 12 to 14 months De Zerbi would be in exactly the same position that Erik Ten Hag's in right now. I guarantee it. And that's the thing that I think, because it's not unanimous, by the way. I'm not speaking for all fans, because some fans don't think Erik Ten Hag's the right man. Not me personally.
Is it split, do you think? If you had to put a percentage on it?
If I had to put a percentage on it, I still think that's probably maybe 20 to 30% of Man United
still
fans.
The minority.
Minority. In my opinion.
Okay.
I could be completely wrong, but in my opinion, that's how I see it. But I think that Man United absolutely need to stick with Ten Hag. And accept, it's going to be rough. Of course there are injuries. Of course there are players who are not available. The plan that he wanted to implement with certain players, he hasn't been able to. We had to firefight a lot of situations, which, by the way, does not give an excuse, though, for the types of results we're seeing. Absolutely not. Because when you're a manager, yes, you can get back in, and yes, bad circumstances can be taken into consideration. Look at Graham Potter. And I know that Chelsea are a sacking club as soon as it doesn't go right. That's their model, and it's worked for them. It's brought a lot of success. But even it got to a point where it's like, I know this is a long-term project with Graham Potter, but we can't have this.
Very briefly, because we've got a break. Yeah. One positive, though, Rasmus Højlund. First goal, good run, good header. But the second goal, I thought the pace, the power, and then the composure he showed, really good, promising signs. Really good shining ray of sunshine. He didn't deserve to be on the losing team. Sure. I felt really sorry for him. But like you said, on a positive, when Man United are playing well, which we did for spells of that game against Galatasaray, he looked a real player. And we do need to be careful as Man United fans. We can't say he's the next Van Nistelrooy. I know Paul Scholes said there's shades of Van Nistelrooy in there. Very high praise. But you get a little look into what he can offer. Exciting and
if
dangerous.
Manchester United can build and get some confidence and stop making silly mistakes and gifting goals away and keep supplying him. We saw that if you supply him, he scores. We've also seen, if you give him, is that even a half chance from the halfway line? He's still got a lot to do. It's not even a half chance. If he has to do it himself, he can do it. So a big ray of sunshine for Rasmus Højlund. Looked really promising.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.